Hello Libra, welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Libra is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment. Consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. If there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Libra, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And here we have a Princess of Cups. Now, this is somebody who has a lot of dreams, a lot of hopes and wishes and aspirations, a lot of feelings, a lot of desires, a lot of cravings, right? I think that you're somebody who is very disciplined. You know, I feel like you have all of these wants and needs and desires that, of course, you want to gratify them all, right? Everybody has sort of the surface level desires of life, yeah. I feel like you're able to listen to those and direct them. This is kind of a quiet force that's shaping your life right now. This is also a card that is that's about finding the magic in the mundane, finding the extra in the ordinary. This is a card of dreams. I think that you're somebody who has very vivid dreams. I think you have a lot of desires. I think you want a lot of things in your life. And guess what? How do you get them? You got to discipline your desire, right? So I feel like you're sort of quietly shaping your life. By having these desires and listening to them, you're not letting them drive the car. Okay, emotion to behavior in this card here is kind of the shadow side of this, is that whatever you're feeling in the moment, whatever whim you have, that's how you behave. Well, that's not going to get you anywhere, right? So Spirit's highlighting the self-discipline, disciplining your desires. Let's put this into some context, because this is how you get the deeper satisfaction of those desires. There's some of that discipline. There's some of that driving force. Okay, the Devil card. We have an Ace of Pentacles. You have another Capricorn reference with the Knight of Pentacles. We have a Princess of Wands. See, we don't want to act impulsively. We want to discipline these princesses, right? These page type of energies. And here we have the Eon, Judgment, Rebirth, Reawakening, the Baptism by Fire, the doorway to the future. Okay? This is everything you've been waiting for. This is it. This is huge. Okay? This is the doorway to your future. Over here we have the Seven of Wands, we have the Hanged Man, you have the Fool, and you have more of this earth energy with the Queen of Pentacles. So this is, you're looking toward the future, you're looking up at the top of the mountain. This, you're at the top of the mountain looking down. This is how you get there. It's discipline. That quiet, concentrated, almost obsessive, serious force shaping your life. Okay? This is a big responsibility. Okay? To get to your goal, to get to the top of that mountain, to go through this doorway and to sort of create the future that you've always wanted, requires a lot of consistent focus. The Devil card, you kind of have your blinders on, right? It's a lot of discipline. Okay? I think that your steady work, your willingness to sort of sacrifice, your willingness to kind of bend over backwards, do whatever it takes to get the job done, right? Your willingness to be of service, your willingness to kind of, to make sacrifices is attracting a lot of like the right people, a lot of allies are coming your way. Okay? I think that is, they are going to be of a major service to you. That's kind of a problem with the devil card, is sometimes this is the lone mountain goat. Okay? So you have to be willing to, to allow those other people in. Okay? I think that there is maybe a small distraction that's maybe upsetting some of the rhythm that you have in your life right now. Okay? But I think that you're getting to the top of this mountain. Okay? I feel like you see yourself as pretty easygoing, right? You got this Fool energy. I feel like you really have this iron will to you right now, and you may be approaching something in a very playful way on the inside, but it's kind of like outwardly you're all business. Yeah, I think you have a very, like I said, it almost feels like you have this kind of obsession over your goals right now. And obsession is not a bad word. The devil is not a bad card. It gets a bad rap though, doesn't it? Every card has light and shadow. Okay? The light side of this card is determination, endurance, perseverance, the motivation, the driving force that you want something so darn badly that you're willing to do whatever it takes to sort of get there, you know? And I think you have this unceasing energy. This is the engine of your car. The engine doesn't care where you're going. That requires your discipline, your control, and your vision. Okay? You got some really, really powerful cards here. Okay, let's select our mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. We're going to set this down right over here with Jimbo, the Lizard King, right there on top. Now, even though I can do anything, we're not looking at that card until the very end. It will tie everything together. It will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. If at any moment during this message you feel like you might know what that card might be, put your prediction in the comments section down beneath the video. Okay, now, as we look around the room, we see major, 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 major. We see fire and fire. We see a little bit of water right there, and this is kind of the dream that is kind of fueling the goat. Okay, the vision, your imagination, your desire, your yearning, your craving, right? Your wish, your hope, in your dream, your aspiration. The one thing we don't see is any air cards. And that might be an issue, okay? Because maybe the idea here is that the Princess of Wands, maybe the issue here is that we need a little bit of air. Maybe you're right now feeling like you're just gonna kind of wing it, right? Maybe we're just kind of like, I don't know how I'm climbing this, I'm just gonna figure it out as I go. Maybe you need a little bit more organization or a little bit more communication, okay, in order to really map things out a little bit more, okay? Don't be too impulsive here to where it feels like we can just kind of throw things together and just in real time figure things out. I almost wonder if we need a little bit more strategy or a little bit more structure to get organized, to maybe map things out a little bit more, okay? So we don't have any of that air, and of course we have our earth, and earth cards. Of course, the devil card is Capricorn. That's some earth energy too, okay? So I kind of feel like a little bit of caution is needed for you. Sometimes the goat can get a little overzealous and really just starts running up the mountain, and that might be a little bit too impulsive. We might need to slow things down and just a little bit of caution, okay? But steady effort is really the way that you're going to transform your life. This is a magical doorway, a divine doorway to a future that you've always dreamed of. You got to discipline your goat a little bit, discipline your desires, this steady force, steady and consistent force is going to really transform your universe. Let's do a Divine Doorway Oracle card. Freedom flows. Don't hold yourself back from worldly freedom. Dream grand things for divine, sacred reason. Okay? So I feel like you've got some good motivation here. I think that you have the Devil card really is about the three drives that we have as human beings. We have the creative drive, just looking to make the world a better place, looking to improve the quality of life for yourself and others, looking to alleviate suffering for yourself and others, looking to do something that's going to change the world, leave your dent on the universe, leave your mark on the world, to create something that's going to outlive you, something that's going to benefit the human race or whatever, right? These bigger goals that take you outside of your ego. That's top-level creative drive. Beneath that, it's kind of a pyramid shape, beneath that are the aggressive drive and the pleasure drive, okay? And I feel like this is your pleasure drive right now. Your pleasure drive might, well, maybe even these two. Your drives may need a little bit of discipline. This is the creative drive on top. You have your aggressive drive and your pleasure drive that need that discipline. Okay? You don't want either of these aggressive drive, and the aggressive drive maybe should be called the autonomous drive or the sovereign drive or the assertive drive. Because that is kind of, an overactive, assertive drive is rejecting help, is rejecting allies, rejecting allegiances and other people around, and kind of saying, no, I'm doing it by myself, get out of here, I don't need your help. And the pleasure drive, of course, might be too distracted by all the success, all the, the gratification that you feel along the way. It needs to feel good. Your path needs to feel good. You need to feel powerful enough to make it to the top of the mountain. But you want to have those drives in balance, and you want to have the creative drive as like the top executive level drive, okay? And that's kind of, that's what the Devil card, I think, is really here to point out, is that you're motivated for the right reasons, and you need to allow yourself to enjoy the process, to feel good, to taste of the fruit, right, that you're producing. And you also need to believe that you're capable of doing this. You need to have that assertiveness, that force and that fire, that saying, I'm doing this from my own power, and I'm responsible for this, and, at the same time, you have to be willing to let those allies in. And I think, and you have to be able to overcome any kind of distractions that might be trying to draw you into a fight that's not yours. Okay, I think your pleasure drive is right where it needs to be. I think this feels good for you. I think you like it. But you got to be careful with that assertive drive, that it's not lured into a fight that isn't yours, okay? It's a small distraction, but it's threatening your rhythm. That's our Seven of Wands down here. Okay? So the Devil card is that the blinders, you're hyper-focused, you're fixated, you're obsessed with this. And I feel like that's obsession in a good way. In other words, all of your resources are going into this project or this task or this company, this job, this career, this skill you're learning, whatever the mountain is that you're climbing. Maybe you're literally climbing a mountain. When you're climbing a mountain, you don't want to be distracted by what's going on over there on that side of the mountain. You got to stay focused on where you're putting your hands and your feet and all this stuff, your center of gravity. You want to have fun doing it, and you want to feel like you're capable of doing it. But if there's someone that kind of is, has some extra equipment or something, or can share a little bit of their Cliff Bar or something with you, like, you should be able to accept that, But this is that lone mountain goat that's kind of like just trying to get to the top. That's determination, right? You put the goat in front of any mountain, it's going to climb all the way to the top. And that's your That's your vibe right now. This is your discipline and that endurance. Don't let this be your downfall, though, because this could be an isolated goat, perfectly capable of getting there on their own, but maybe you get there and you realize, I wish I had some friends with me, you know? So just be mindful, I guess, of that. Yeah. Down beneath the surface, you've got this Ace of Pentacles. I feel like what Spirit is telling you to do is pay attention to each step you take. Don't start worrying about 10 steps down the road. Don't get distracted by what other people are doing. What's the next step for you? You know, you're climbing something, you have 3 points of contact at all times. In other words, you got your hands and your feet on the wall, on the ladder, and you're moving one limb at a time, then a foot, then a hand, then a foot, then a hand, 3 points of contact. You're paying attention to every movement that you're making, because that's the critical kind of position you're in now. Okay? We don't want any false moves or anything like that. Okay? And I don't know what you're doing, but I know it's really going to change your life. We're going toward this doorway that is going to propel you to the very, very top. And it's your steady effort. Okay? It's your ability to just not get distracted and to focus on each step. The steady effort is going to transform into maybe very sudden success. Okay? The discipline that you have right now is the key that's unlocking miracles in your life. Okay? I think you are fully committed. Now, part of this distraction might be, I don't know if it's maybe your pleasure drive, getting distracted by something else, and kind of, is there a decision kind of on the table that is asking you to just kind of fully commit to this path? Is something distracting you to kind of, trying to get you to drift away mentally or emotionally to something else? Could be that, two things because of the absence of the air energy. One is that your head might not be in the game right now. Okay? You have your fire, you have a little bit of water, you got your earth cards, you got your major arcana, but the air is gone. Maybe that your mind is somewhere else. So, could be get your head back in the game. Okay? It could be that you are in need of a kind of a more comprehensive strategy right now. Again, kind of getting your head back in the game, think about your plays, think about what's next, think about what you're doing now, and how things are going to want to think a couple steps ahead and stay focused in that sense. But also it could be that the air is absent because you're kind of on this like cruise control autopilot. I think the mystery card will help us decide the reason for the air absence. Being on that autopilot cruise control is where you're not overthinking every step. That you're kind of doing it because you've trained to do it. You're doing it because your body already knows the movements. You've already studied. You already have all of that information, all that data. You've already created those neural pathways. You don't have to think about each move. You want to pay attention to each move. You want to be looking at the cliff, at the mountain you're climbing, right? Or the ladder that you're on. But you don't have to micromanage each little muscle movement, each little, handhold. That you're kind of, you're going from rote muscle memory, so to speak, muscle memory. It's the neural pathways that are already there. Okay. Now, in the background, you have your Knight of Pentacles. I do feel that you spent a lot of time looking at the mountain, studying the mountain, figuring out if this was the right mountain for you. Okay? Now, I want you to leave me a comment and let me know that this is the mountain for you. I want to know that you are fully on board, that you are committed to this. Because, again, I'm wondering if the mind is getting distracted by other things, or, you kind of got to bring your head back into the game. Because I feel like this is you previous to your climb, where you're at the base of the mountain, you're looking up, and you're thinking, that's where I want to go. That's who I want to be, where I want to be, and what I want to be doing in the future. No doubt about it, this is my goal. This is my quest, okay? And it may not be a mountain literally, but what it is, it's a climb. It's your life trajectory going up and to the right. Well, I guess my right, so up and to the right this way for you, okay? Because that's what we're trying to do. That's the creative drive, trying to improve your station, trying to rise above your circumstances, and trying to either raise the collective vibration of the universe, to alleviate suffering for yourself and your loved ones, or to improve the quality of life, okay? The trajectory, up and to the right. That's how you want your line to go. And that's why we have the mountain behind or in front of, right, our night. Because looking at that line, looking at the kind of the top of that, how high can that line go? Well, one thing you notice about this card, look closely, you can't see the top of the mountain. There is no summit, per se. There are many summits. There are many peaks, right? But it just keeps going. Your line going up and to the right, it can go as far as you want it to go. It's open-ended. You have to enjoy the climb. You have to want to, to work hard and do it. And you have to kind of set your own goals, make your own milestones, figure out where your base camps are, figure out where your resting places are, figure out where it's kind of like, enough is enough. I don't need to climb any further, okay? But you're looking at that mountain, and I think you decided to do it. I think you plotted a course. You've studied the mountain enough to kind of know where you're going to put your feet. Because right now, in this position anyway, and this was yesterday, you weren't moving. You were studying the mountain. You were feeding the horse. You're getting ready. You're preparing, mentally, emotionally, physically, preparing for this very difficult climb. You're right at the base of the mountain looking up. Okay, this was your starting point. Yeah. And again, I think you're a very easygoing person. I like that we have the Fool over there, because you're you're a fun person. And you're very lighthearted. I think you like to joke around a lot. You like to tease people, and you like to dance and just kind of let loose, very easygoing. But when it comes to this work, you are rock solid. You are like iron, And because I think that there's a time and a place for goofing off, but then there's this where it's like, no, you're not bringing that in here. You're not bringing that nonsense in here. This is work, And so I feel like you have that ability to kind of, to get serious when you really need to get serious. And I think this is the time for you to really get serious, because you're trying to get to a goal. You're trying to climb up this mountain as far as you want to go. Okay? You're a magic maker. Hit the like button, leave me a comment, and let me know that you are a magic maker. Because this is you making magic. I would definitely watch the Capricorn reading if I were you. The last one that we did and the next one that we're going to do tomorrow. Up above the surface now, we have the, let me point out too again with the Knight of Pentacles, looking into the future, okay? Looking at this, looking at the Queen, really. The Queen of Pentacles is who you are, where you are, and what you're doing down the road. It's exactly the version of you. Both of these are you. Okay, this is you before you started this project or this climb. This is you after. This is you wherever your goal is. You're sitting at your summit, okay, whatever your sort of end zone is. You're sitting at the top of your summit, and you're looking back down the mountain and seeing the road. So if you look at this card, you see that long and winding road that leads down and around the mountain. And the Knight of Pentacles is way back at the beginning of the path somewhere. Okay? So this is who you're becoming and where you're going and what you're doing down the road. See, it's all karma. It's all karma. Who you are right now is a result of all your thoughts, words, and deeds in the past. Who you're going to become is a result of all your thoughts, words, and deeds in the present. Okay? And the present is all you have right now. So this is you, and this is how you are functioning now, so that you can become who you want to become and get to where you want to go. It's very simple. And so the knight is looking at the future and thinking, that's who I want to become. So these are the things I got to do, thoughts, words, and deeds, in order to become that person and get to that summit of that mountain. Okay? And now your Princess of Wands is kind of dancing with the tiger. You're taking risks. Okay, that's good, but is it reckless? Or are we doing calculated risks? Well, let's do a couple of my critical thinking cards. These were a gift to me. I don't use these in readings very much. More in the extended, I guess, but critical thinking cards. And what we have here is the generation card. It's meta sequence, the deep, okay? Research and define, dive deep and define the objective, sure. Because we don't want to just be impulsive and risky or reckless. We don't want to be dancing with the tiger without a plan, right? So again, there's this idea of no air in the reading. We might need some of this critical thinking. Dive deep, research and define the objective. Okay, the wide, creative and divergent. Think openly, play, and minimize criticism. Well, that might be the hard thing for you right now, because like when you're focused on work and you're locked in and you're hyper fixated on your work, I feel like you sort of reject some of that playful energy. So that might be an important thing for you. How about narrow, critical, and divergent? Use objective evaluation criteria and critique your work. And then the up thinking, synthesize and iterate. Keep playing to find a deeper synthesis. I like that, the meta sequence. Okay, and that's how you sort of, that's how you discipline some of this creative fire. This is that wild impulse that just wants to run around, you know, and feel that power and feel the heat and feel the excitement. This kind of thinking and this kind of operational procedure is going to help you to discipline this creative fire. The deep, wide, the up and the narrow and up. Okay, I like that. I think that really is really good. So we'll leave this over here. In the future position, of course, is that doorway to the future. It's basically saying that going through this doorway, making this decision to stay on course and do whatever it takes to kind of, you know, climb up the mountain, you're transforming your life. This is a portal to a future that is, I mean, it's kind of like it hasn't been created yet. You're creating it with every step you take. You're building that future. Every step you take is getting you closer to this doorway. This is the leveling up. This is the breakthrough. This is the teleporting to the top of the mountain. Okay? And this is extraordinary. This is going to be everything for you, okay? Freedom flows. Don't hold yourself back from worldly freedom. Dream big dreams, right? For your divine sacred reason. You can desire the good life. You can desire all of the love, all of the prosperity, all of the abundance of life. You got to let yourself have this pleasure drive. You want the good life, right? Allow yourself to dream big things, right? Isn't this that card of dreams, hopes, wishes, aspirations, cravings, desires, wants and needs and all that stuff, right? You want the extra. You don't want to live a normal, quiet life, a simple, average kind of life at the base of the mountain. No, you're looking for big, big dreams. Yeah, you've got big, big dreams. You got to have big, big plans. Now, dream those grand things, but for the divine and sacred reason. This, in other words, this has to be in service to the creative drive. You can desire all the worldly things as long as you're doing it for the right reasons. You can have that very strong, powerful pleasure drive as long as it is subservient to your creative drive, that the divine, sacred, generative drive. Everything we're getting here is right on target, right on point. I want you to subscribe to the channel. If this is resonating with you, let me know. Hit the like button and lock this energy in. Okay? A big thanks to everybody that is here and sort of encouraging everybody. I really want to light the comments up with a lot of encouragement, a lot of positivity. Okay, let's stay focused here and let's get somewhere. The general energy is the Seven of Wands. Now, this is a card that is kind of like you're trying to discipline yourself. Okay, this is really that self-discipline. It's kind of like saying, I'm banging my head against the wall, and it sucks. I don't like it. It hurts. I'm sore. I'm tired, but I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep going. Okay? You desire this too much to quit. It's going to feel so good to level up that you're okay with being sore and tired and exhausted now. Okay? So the Seven of Wands is, sometimes it's, it's David and Goliath. It's you trying to move a mountain. Okay? It's you trying to create a universe. It's a big deal. It's a big, big plan, right? Big, big dreams. You got to have a very strong will. You've got to be able to resist opposition. You have to be able to resist distraction, overcome fatigue. You're tired. Yeah, but I'm tired. Well, of course you're tired. Your desire and your fire have to be stronger than how tired you are. Okay? Or how overwhelmed it may feel sometimes. Okay? This is something that is really calling you to push past your comfort zone. Most people would have quit. They get tired, I'm tired, I'm done. As far as I can go. This card's kind of asking you, or asking the goat, can you take another step? Yeah, then take that step. Every step of the way, kind of asking, can I take another step? And you just keep going till you can't go anymore. And this is real grind kind of energy, And I feel that in a way, this shows a little bit of the kind of stubbornness of that goat, because I think that it may feel like it's you against the world. Okay. I think that your tenacity, your perseverance here, your endurance is really attracting like the right kind of allies. You have this steady spirit about you, and I think that other people are going to show up for you. Okay? Other people are going, and don't look at that as any kind of a negative thing. Just because somebody is offering you, a boost, right? Doesn't mean that they think you're incapable. It doesn't mean you're too weak to do it on your own. You gotta take it where you can get it. You know what I mean? And I think that is going to be the blessing for you right now. Spirit is putting the right people, places, and things on your path to assist you. Okay. The Hanged Man in the position of the environment. You have sacrificed a lot already to be where you are. This is a path that is requiring you to stay locked in, to obsess over this path. And I think it means that you've had to let go of a lot of other things that you would have enjoyed. All the surface level emotions, all the surface level desires that we have, Sometimes I just want to sleep in. I just want a hot dog or something, or like I want a bowl of ice cream, You've had to say no. You've had to do without. Okay, the Hanged Man is in a suffering, sort of sacrificial position. But guess what? We put ourselves here. Nobody has done this to us. That's the lesson of the Hanged Man, is that we are suffering here for something that is worth our suffering. This is something sacred that we are willing to sacrifice. Everything that we are giving up in order to be on this mountain, okay, is sort of worthy of the sacrifice. You're making something sacred by having to sacrifice it or give it up or say no to it, okay? It's becoming part of this for you. It's becoming like part of that fuel. Yeah. I think part of this energy also is part of how you're attracting the right people to you in your life right now. Because people see that you're willing to do whatever it takes to get this done, to get the job done, right? To continue this climb or to continue this journey, whatever it is for you. If you feel like leaving some comments and kind of filling in some of the gaps or sharing your story, please do. Okay. And a big shout out to everybody that sends me emails kind of explaining their situation. I know a lot of this you don't want to post on a public place like our community comments here, but you can if you want to share, or just send me an email, whatever you want to do. Or keep it to yourself, that's fine too, right? But the Hanged Man is kind of like, people can see this part of you. People can see how much you're willing to really suffer for what you're doing. And they can see how much you are, how much you're giving up in order to be here. And I think that is really like letting people know, like people can see you, and they know that you take this seriously. And they know that you're somebody they want to align themselves with. And of course, you have to use your discernment, because some people are going to just see, wow, that's Libra. They're really willing to bend over backwards for this. Maybe I should join up with them, and they can do all the heavy lifting, and then I can just kind of chill. So you have to be discerning. Don't let the wrong people on your team, but definitely let the right people on your team. And I think that if you are forming any kind of alliances or gaining allies, you want those allies to be just as willing, just as ready to suffer for this as you are. Because that's a devotion. You know, that's a real devotion. And you can tell somebody really cares about what they're doing because of what they're willing to give up in order to remain there or to continue doing it. What they're willing to sacrifice shows how much you kind of want it, you know. But the willingness to sacrifice is different than you kind of feeling like you have to suffer. Because if there's other people around, if everybody in your team is willing to suffer like this, then nobody has to. You see what I mean? Because everybody's there pitching in. And so nobody has to suffer that much. So it kind of makes the job easier for everybody. But only if everybody is equally willing. To be willing to sacrifice is not the same as like it being absolutely required, that you have to suffer. Okay? So let that sink in a little bit. It's the willingness to suffer that sort of proves your commitment here, and not the actual suffering itself. You don't have to, but you have to be willing to. Okay? And I think that you've sacrificed a lot of relationships already for something. And now maybe Spirit's saying, look, some of those relationships are going to come back to you. You're going to find people. You don't have to do this alone. Okay? The fear, worry, concern is the Fool. I guess, you know, in a lot of ways, this is the fear of just kind of being foolish. The fear of like, did I start a quest that I really am not capable of finishing or completing? Did I get myself involved in something just being reckless and careless and like, am I just being dumb? Like, am I literally a fool? No, I don't think that you are. I think that really Spirit's kind of saying, look, you might need to bring a little bit more of this playful energy in. Okay, think openly, play, minimize criticism. At the same time, you've got to be very disciplined. Okay, so we really don't want to be too much of the fool. But we can see that the Fool is kind of looks like a mountain climber anyway, right? Don't they? It looks like they're climbing a mountain already. This is somebody that's on the quest. And this is somebody that, in a way, is trying to stay pure, is trying not to obsess too much over the results, okay, or about the future. In a way, the Fool doesn't have a past or a future. The Fool lives in the present moment. Okay? So the Fool isn't saying, well, I have to do good things today because that's going to mean that, I'm going to get good things tomorrow. Okay? It's kind of like, I'm just going to do the right thing today because it's the right thing to do. I'm going to take care of business. I'm going to do what needs to be done now. I'm not without concern for the future. Okay? So I feel that this is part of your playful energy. This is your ability to sort of, turn off the playful side and turn on the discipline. Okay? Even the Hanged Man and the Fool are very opposite cards, The Fool likes to indulge. The Fool likes novelty. The Fool likes to get involved with everything. It's very distractible. In fact, maybe that's where we need another one of our critical thinking cards. The availability heuristic. Your judgments are influenced by what springs most easily to mind. How recent, emotionally powerful, or unusual your memories are can make them seem more relevant. This, in turn, can cause you to apply them too readily. Try to gain different perspectives and source statistical information. Okay? How recent, emotionally powerful, or unusual your memories are can make them seem more relevant. The novel. The Fool is always in search of novelty. And I think right now you're trying to not seek novelty. You're rejecting that novelty. You're trying to stick to a course, stick to a plan, and not look for new ways to do anything. Okay? That novelty is not the relevant thing. You don't want your Princess of Cups or Wands to get distracted by those novel things. The Fool is very easily, like I said, easily distracted. Okay? The Fool sees something shining over there. Ooh, what's that? That's new. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the new thing. Well, that's kind of the problem with the Princess of Wands, too. Because the Princess of Wands will start a bunch of things that feel exciting until something more exciting catches their attention. And the same thing with the Princess of Cups. Likes to start a bunch of things that feel good until something new that might feel better comes along. And that is, I think all the princesses are kind of, related to the Fool. To that novelty. Just because something's novel doesn't mean it's more relevant. The goat needs to put the blinders on. So to me, that's really starting to make sense now. Why the Fool's in this position. Okay? You don't want too much of that divergent thinking. You kind of want to stay obsessed with what you're doing now. Otherwise, we're never going to reach that critical point of breakthrough. Because you're going to end up getting distracted before the breakthrough happens. And the Fool's going to be off on another quest, finding some other source of novelty and excitement and pleasure over there somewhere, or over there, or over there. The Fool needs the discipline. The Fool needs the focus. And that's how you're going to get to your future self, sitting pretty on the top of the mountain, right, with the Queen of Pentacles, looking down and thinking, boy, I'm glad I made those decisions. I'm glad I stuck with this. I'm glad that I pushed through all the distracting, exciting pleasures around me, and I'm glad I kept the blinders on. I'm glad that I stayed focused. I'm glad that I was discerning about my choices and about my relationships. Okay? Because of who you're becoming and where you're taking your life requires that kind of discipline. So I think that I like these creative thinking or these critical thinking, creative thinking cards. Okay, your choices influenced by what springs to mind most readily. The novel things, the novelty of life, distracting you from your discipline, from your focus, from you staying consistent on this path and creating this future of yours. Let's look at the mystery card. I want this to be the Empress. Plain and simple, right? Or some pentacles, maybe. I feel like it might give us some air cards. I kind of feel like we took care of the air stuff already. I feel like we've solved that puzzle, I think. So maybe we do just need either the creative results or the sort of the emotional results. If you have a prediction, put it in the comments. Let's see what we have. Yeah, Six of Cups. Six of Cups is about finding community, finding the right people, okay, finding the right relationships, finding your tribe of goats. If you're going to get into a group of people, you want them to be goats just like you, right? You want them to be just as determined, just as hardworking, as disciplined, just as obsessed over whatever their goals are. You don't even have to have the same goals, but you want somebody that operates the same way you do. That's the type of tribe or the type of team or the community or the family that you're looking for. This is also the fulfillment of those desires. I feel like wherever you're taking your life, it's going to feel good. You're going to be rewarded. It's going to be a pleasurable thing when you're sitting at the top of that mountain on one of your peaks. It's going to feel really, really good. And then it's up to you if you want to keep going or if this is more than enough. There's no limit to how far your line can go up and to the right. You decide when it feels good enough to just stop. And maybe we just stop for a while and then maybe a month down the road or a year you say, hey, I want to climb a little more. Okay. This is a wonderful sign of fulfillment and pleasure and abundance. Yeah. Now, we're going to do an extended reading as well if you want to stick around. We'll do an I Ching hexagram. We'll do some oracle cards. There's a link in the corner here. There's a link in the video description here. New readings for Libra Mondays and Thursdays. Be sure to watch both readings. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you are the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we are all in this together.